Here we go. I'm unmuted. All right, and welcome to another Saturday evening. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Sunday evening. My words are jumbled up because Mahomes just threw an interception in the game. This is BasketBros, and we're giving you the greatest. Can't say really latest because we're more of a throwback show. So it's going to be the greatest throwback basketball memories and discussions and topics from about 2000 on back. Sometimes we may cheat a little bit and reference something from the 2010s and 2020s, but only to bridge a point to back then. Anywho, I am Denzel Snipes, your moderator, and it's time to get the crew in here. So, starting first, he's kind of like our point guard, at least in height-wise. I don't know how tall this man is, really. He looks to be about maybe 5'11", 6 feet. But he's all the way in Charlotte, North Carolina, by way of Connecticut. This is DJ Willie V. Will Vogel.
I'm actually 6 foot, and my license is wrong. It says I'm 5'9".
Oh, wow.
No, I love the point guard position. And yeah, I don't mind being the point guard.
Hey, that sounds great, man.
Sounds
I was like,
good
you
to
know
me.
what? I said I wouldn't be surprised if he was like at least 6 feet, so
Yeah, I
but
think I'm at least 6 feet. I think so.
okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Whatever the doctor, measured you that back when you was a teenager or something.
Exactly, right?
Well, also, and he's currently traveling back. Maybe he's going home. Maybe he's driving to the Cleveland Guardians and Yankees game. I don't know. He could be somewhere. He's being a road warrior right now. This is your favorite pundit's pundit. He's your mom's favorite pundit. If you have a pet tarantula, he's her favorite pundit. This is Jacob Christner. Come on in.
What is going on? And no, I have no clue what happened with the Yankees Guardians today.
Okay, then. That game just started. I was going to say, if you were going there, you're late.
Okay. No, I know. I just had a thing, but I just had a nice little day today, and so all I know is I'm very close in one fantasy league and getting my absolute butt kicked in the other.
Oh, wow. How close are you from home?
By the way, I'm also legitimately 6'3" and I can't dunk.
Oh, okay then. Well, I mean, you have to have like a halfway decent jump shot, do you?
Yeah, I used to. I think I could get it back again.
Okay, hey, it's all wrist work, dude. And last but not least, coming in all the way from South Florida by way of Detroit, Michigan, he is the captain, co-pilot, crew. He also even drives the little tug, away from the plane, and then gets back inside the plane just so he can pilot and co-pilot of the South Florida Tribune Airlines. Not a real airline, y'all. Anyway, he's on YouTube, But Scott, the Motor City Mad Mouth Morganroth, Captain Scott, come on in.
Hey,
Captain.
Good afternoon. So, if Will is the point guard, what do they call me? What position?
Referee. You're referee. You're old enough.
You're kind of like a Popovich lookalike, so you could be coach.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I respect the gray beard. Okay, I can take that.
I heard Kennedy laugh, so it must be true.
I actually met Greg Popovich before. I didn't have my gray beard back at the time. It was a few years back. I can see where you can call me a grouchy pop. No problem. I can live with that.
Okay, look. If he's grouchy, he also has 5 rings to show for it.
Yeah, well, it's okay. I'll handle it. I mean, gray is better gray than nay, as they always say, right? So
exactly.
Hey, I got 75% gray. I get it.
Yeah, well, if I actually showed you what was underneath here, then, I don't know how much gray is there. It's probably a little bit more nay than gray, but it's okay. There you go. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool stuff. So, yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
mean,
the game's in the second inning already, and we're already up.
Yeah,
you're up? What score?
I think it's 3-0 Yankees. Let's go.
Oh, okay.
We need to get tied.
No. You got to do this because JB's already given up on the season.
JB gave up on the season in June.
No. April.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well,
it's better that he gave up on this season. The Dodgers don't have one after 111 wins, and a managerial situation to me that has July 4 written over it via
Scott,
fireworks.
Scott, you heard my thing that other night. Even though I haven't been that right on these things, I did not feel right about the Dodgers. Everybody heard me.
Nobody's
Yeah.
ever felt right about the Dodgers. I mean, come on. Was the last time they won a World Series with a full season? You know,
Yeah,
before
1988.
No, before
88, yeah.
Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that last night was just that was nuts. I mean, like they went up 3-0 in the seventh, and then like they just stopped playing baseball. Like it was nuts. But just want to remind everyone that we are on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitter. So be sure to go on there and leave us a like and a follow. Be greatly appreciated. If you're a first timer, of course, especially leave that like and everything, and you'll be happy to hear from us every Sunday at this time. So for the next 24 minutes, we're going to have the best in throwback basketball discussions, and we're going to start this off first just real quick, and I'm sure that this number is going to get ran up.
MJ and Bird.
That doesn't count. You just blurting it out doesn't count. It has to be off topic or part of a conversation. But we're going to start off with
Look at this guy. See, Jacob, is going into my territory. We can't even see him. There's a thing about driving here and being able to do this broadcast. Hello, dark shadow. So it can't see you. Interstate 20.
Are we live? It says scheduled.
Yes, we're live.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we're live. All right, well, let's get on with our BasketBros Legend, our weekly BasketBros Legend, and that is center Wilt Chamberlain. He was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on 12 October. No, wait, I'm sorry, no, that's a different date. On 21 August 1936, he went to Kansas in college, and he was drafted. Let's see here. It doesn't even say. Well, he was a territorial pick in 1959. No wonder. So he actually played as a Harlem Globetrotter from 58 to 59. He spent the bulk of his career, of course, with the San Francisco/Philadelphia Warriors, also with the 76ers and the Los Angeles Lakers. Some career highlights. He was a two-time NBA champion, NBA Finals Most Valuable Player, four-time NBA Most Valuable Player, 13-time NBA All-Star, NBA All-Star Game MVP, a seven-time All-NBA First Team, three-time All-NBA Second Team, two-time All-NBA Defensive First Team, Rookie of the Year in 1960, seven-time NBA Scoring Champion, crazy, 11-time NBA Rebounding Champion. He also has an assist title, pretty rare for a guy at 7'1". Most points in one game, the 100-point game. Most rebounds in one game, 55. He's on three anniversary teams, 35th, 50th, and 75th. Harlem Globetrotters number 13 retired. Also same for the Warriors, the 76ers, and the Lakers. In college, he was an NCAA tournament most outstanding player in 1957, a two-time consensus first-team All-American, a first-team All-Big Seven. Kansas Jayhawks number 13 retired, and he's Mr. Basketball USA. These are his career statistics, his career averages, people. He averaged 30.1 points per game, 22.9 rebounds per game, and 4.4 assists per game. Of course, he's in the College and Basketball Hall of Fame. A lot of people have this guy as far as NBA centers go. They have this man on their Mount Rushmore, and rightfully so. Even back in an era where it seemed like centers just kind of did everything. But I mean, like, it's crazy how this man has an assist title at 7'1" center. And especially in an era where the game was centered around the center, like that was your number one scoring option for all, if not most teams. He was a guy. He was a man that did it all. Crazy how we do these comparisons because you like to fare. If you had a guy like Wilt Chamberlain, if Wilt Chamberlain was born a little bit later and he was in this era, how would he fare? But like I said, outstanding player. A lot of people have him in their top 10, like all time. As far as overall players, but we'll swing it over to Willie V. Your thoughts on Wilt Chamberlain?
Wilt Chamberlain was so good. 100 points, 50-something rebounds in one game. It's going to be so hard to break that. Kobe got 81, but it ain't no 100. Yes, he was a Globetrotter. I read an insane thing where he won Rookie of the Year, MVP, and All-Star MVP in the same year.
Same year.
That's just unheard of. That's amazing. He broke 8 records his rookie year. And he also coached and played in the ABA later on.
Mm-hmm.
He was a player coach. What I love about Wilt Chamberlain is like his crazy numbers, like averaging 30 and 20 is just astronomically insane. Like, yeah, you get those occasionally 30 and 15 games, but for a season, no. Like, you get the 15 and maybe 10 or 15 and 11, but 30 and 20, oh my gosh, like, wow. Another point is I always, when we talk about like rivalries in basketball, like you got the Magic Bird, you got the Shaq and Hakeem, like different kind of like rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
I always think of Magic and Bird, but the other one I think of is Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell. That is an historically amazing rivalry between two of the best centers of that time, going back and forth in two historic franchises. And it's just so cool, like how we had two amazing centers at that same time period put up amazing numbers. So yes, definitely Wilt Chamberlain is definitely in my top 10 of all time, and he's also definitely in the Mount Rushmore for me for centers because the guy was just phenomenal.
Sweet, and not to mention the guy had his jersey retired by like 5 different entities. But let's swing it on over to Jacob Christner. Your thoughts on center Wilt Chamberlain?
Well, you were bringing up the assist title. I'm going to say this. He's the tallest to ever have an assist title. I'm just going to say this for the future. I think Victor Wembanyama will take that title one day. He'll take that title. He can pass. He has the kind of look, and point guards do not pass the same anymore. So I think he breaks that title one day. But here's hey Scott, before I go on with my stuff, I got one question. Yeah. How was it to be spending his time with the 100-point game on your 40th birthday?
Yeah, that's real.
Cold.
Yeah, well, whatever. I'll leave that for the monitor. He's just go ahead.
No, but the biggest thing about it, he and the 100 points is one thing. 50.4 points and 25 rebounds a game in one season. And then he has he's got an assist record. He's got an assist record. He do anything he absolutely wanted, and then he left a little earlier. And then, by the way, also he's in the Volleyball Hall of Fame. He became one of the greatest volleyball players ever. Right. And he did that. And then it's one of those deals when at 50 years old, they I believe the 76ers or the Bullets, one of the two Cavaliers, Cavs, offered him a contract at 50 years old. And the guy was an absolute athlete, an absolute beast. It's just one of those things where it's like probably the greatest athlete ever. Probably the greatest athlete ever overall, pound for pound. And really overall, could he play in this era now? He dominate even more because you got to realize there is a video of him shooting, from the 3-point line hook shots.
Yeah.
And he was doing that, and it was swishing him. So that's what he'd probably be doing with these 3-point areas. He'd probably be doing hook shots.
True.
So no, this is probably one of the all-time great athletes. Period. And the greatest thing that made it, the legend, he never got married.
Yeah. What was it, like 20,000 women he slept with?
And that was probably on Saturday. That was probably Saturday.
Yeah. A typical Saturday. Yeah. All great points indeed. It's like I said, it's just amazing that and I'll just swing it over to Scott, but I'm gonna lead off with this right here is, how does it like what do you think about whenever you hear that as the number one scoring option on a team for all of his career, the man has an assist title? Like how does that how does that gauge your thoughts on Wilt Chamberlain?
What else can you say? I mean, number one, okay, he has an assist title. He averaged 50 points a game. Let me tell you this. Okay, let's throw a hypothetical out there. Can you imagine if he didn't face Russell, how many more world championships he would have in his pocket?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on, really? How many championships would Wilt have in his pocket? There's always one player in every era that you paint that what if question out there. What if?
Mhm.
And what if Michael Jordan didn't play? Do you think that Karl Malone would have had a title in Utah? Yes, right.
Yes.
But you have a guy that's a thorn in the side. I can't get a title because of you. Okay. And that isn't the Army saying, I want you. That's the NBA championship saying, I want you. But guess what? You aren't going to get it because
You're
they
gonna
hate
get
it. Right. So, I mean, let's face reality. The 100-point game, I don't see anybody touching it, no matter how fast they play the game and how many 3-point shots they shoot and miss. Nobody's touching that. The rebounds, I mean, he's got records that are just untouchable. If I were going to look at Wilt Chamberlain and compare him to any other athlete in any other sport, and I'm an old school hockey guy, okay, Wayne Gretzky would be the one I could put in because of all the scoring titles and the monster stats that he put up there. I mean, and yet I don't think Wayne Gretzky would have fared well in the original 6 era because they played each other a million times and he would have gotten his block knocked off.
Right.
Yet, so I don't think
He's actually the one who saved hockey from the beating up and stuff.
I'm sorry, Will, what was your question? Or
No, I was just saying Wayne Gretzky was the one who saved hockey because it was guys who were beating up each other.
Well, he did in a sense, but number one, hockey had a lot of. We'll get into this another day because of time constrictions and all that. But when you look at the hypotheticals in terms of what Wilt Chamberlain did for the game, an early pioneer, one of the greatest superstars who didn't win as many titles. But yeah, I mean, you got Gretzky's numbers are off the charts, and so are Wilt Chamberlain, and so you get back to the what if. I guess that's what I love about being on the show, being the oldest senior member here, that I can relate just a little bit further back.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but the reality of the situation is, how do you not put him in the round? I put him in my Mount Rushmore all day long. Top 4 and top 10 of all time.
All right.
Not even a thought. If I had 1 hour of sleep, 1 minute of sleep, or 12 hours of sleep, Wilt's going in there no matter what the situation is. He was that good.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the biggest things also we have to realize is our top 10, I think really the top 10s need to be who could probably play in absolutely any era, because not everyone could, especially in this era. It's like, because it was such a different, more physical sport, who could do it? You know what I mean? There's a couple here that can play in the 80s. But it's like, but there's more in the 60s that can play in the 80s than go now. You know what I mean? It's just a different era.
Well, Jacob, that's an excellent point. How many could play in both eras? And I'd have a hard time finding many more 2 or 3, 4 that could. I mean, again, I know maybe down the line you'll bring up Magic Johnson. He could play in any era.
Udonis Haslem could play in the 80s.
What's that?
Udonis
Haslem.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Dude, he lasted 20 years, one team, and he's one of the more physical ones still out there.
Yeah, he was the enforcer.
But trying to find those guys, I think you can only have a handful at the most, because there aren't many players that could carry over from one. But Udonis Haslem is a good example. I think Magic Johnson's a guy that could easily do it because of his style of play, his basketball smarts, and as much as people may wonder a question about it, I think even Larry Bird could play in both.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Definitely.
Larry Bird's smart.
Yeah.
I told y'all before. I mean, he's a smart player, could shoot, and the problem is if he were an antagonizer, Adam Silver wouldn't say no. We play nice basketball. We don't go ahead and hurt anybody's feelings. They play patty cake baker's man, or otherwise we'd have to come up with our new show. Instead of BasketBros, we call it basketball schmoes.
That's my coworker. Hey, Mike.
Yeah. Basket schmoes. I like it. But actually, you know what? This is actually a good segue into our next topic, speaking of Magic Johnson, and that is our weekly BasketBros What-If. So we're going to go back to the 1979 NBA draft, and there was a coin flip backstage on the pick. So what if the Bulls won the toss and Magic Johnson gets drafted by the Bulls? I'll make this short before I switch it to Will. That would have been a match made in heaven. because you're going to have a pass first guy and a score first guy on the same team. Now, Magic is world renowned and revered for the distributor that he was, but dishing it to Mike, oh man, that would have been my only issue is this now changed the dynamics because Pippen is now no longer Robin, but the Flash, I guess, to Justice League. I don't know, but however, that may have been an easy 1980s big three, early 90s big three. I mean, with Magic Johnson, Jordan, and Pippen, Pippen on the rebounds and defending, Jordan scoring, Magic distributing, they would have been nearly unstoppable. Now, do I think that the Celtics could still get them? Yes, absolutely. Because you still got number 33 on the other side. You still got McHale, you still got Parrish, you still got DJ, you still got Danny Ainge. I think that the Magic Bird rivalry doesn't go anywhere. However, I think Magic and Jordan would have found a way to make it work. But I'll swing on over to Will. Will, go ahead, man. Your thoughts on this?
So I could see where exactly you're coming from. They would be an amazing big three, but I took a different turn to it. If Magic Johnson were a Bull, who knows? What if the Bulls don't get MJ? I don't see any finals appearances because like I said, I took it a different way. Because you would have to so face the Pistons, the Sixers, and the Celtics. Also, you may not have Pippen and Rodman. So if he didn't have Pippen and Rodman, no rings, and with no MJ, no rings. I just don't think he would have a good enough team because he had an older Artist Gilmore. And also, yes, I agree, the Bird Magic rivalry would still be intact. So I took it a different way than you, but I know where you're coming from. But I agree where you're coming from. But if they didn't pick up Michael Jordan in 3 years later, no rings, no finals. Magic would go down as one of those players as what if he won a ring?
Yeah. I mean, it does
There's both sides of the coin.
It is. It does create a conundrum of, if the Bulls, they don't get Mike. And so later on, your duo is Magic and Scottie Pippen, which already
they would get some titles.
Yeah, which I still say, considering that, and I've mentioned this on an earlier episode, is for the vast majority of Magic's career, it was Kareem's team. The only time that it was his team, they went to the finals, albeit they lived for the finals. It's the only time that and that was when Jordan won his first ring, but they got there with Magic as the lead dog. You know what I'm saying? So to say that they won't get to the finals is not entirely out of the question. It's just that it would have been Magic's team a whole lot sooner. I personally believe they still get to the finals.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
But let's swing it on to Jacob. What are your thoughts on this?
There's no Jordan if there's a Magic, because they got Jordan 3. There's no way a Magic-led team is going to be in the third in the draft. Jordan's going to the Rockets. Jordan's going to the Rockets because by itself there was a difference between what they're going to do with Houston and Portland. There's no in the thing. So who's number 3 at that point? Who's number 3 at that point? Jordan goes wherever. But there's no. I mean, I'm saying that by itself there's no Jordan in Chicago because there's no way a Chicago team with Magic Johnson would be a number 3 pick. And the biggest and another thing too, they're going to get really by itself. They're going to get trades because the one biggest thing about Chicago is they did not have crowds before Michael Jordan.
Right.
They didn't have one crowd. They probably have 5,000 a game. They would have had crowds with Magic. And then Bird and Magic would have been even more because they'd be facing 6 times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. They'd be facing 6 times a year, and that'd be even crazier. And they'd probably be friends earlier. Because remember, it was the coasts that kept them from being friends.
That's true.
So they probably would have been friends even earlier. And instead of the yellow Converse, it would have been the red Converse.
Yeah.
Well, at the time period, at the time period, I think those Converse, they still had team specific ones. Like I remember the gold and the purple ones for the the Lakers and the green and white ones for the Celtics. It was still like team specific. I think they even had like a purple and orange one for like the Suns.
Oh yeah, but I had the weapons. I had the Converse weapons as a kid.
Nice.
Which is like the thing is I keep trying to look for those suckers to this day. Trying to find, because I want a grown-up version of it, because you have to throw them away when they're little. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like I like to find a grown-up version, but they're very, 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 very hard to find. Jordans are not hard to find.
True. Well, let me throw this question at you. Let's say Jordan does go to the Rockets or another team, and then later on down the line, do you think that with Magic Johnson, do you think that the Bulls still get Pippen? And then what do you think of that combo?
You got to remember where they got the draft size, where they were draft on something like that by itself. And you got to remember, Johnson is a bull. Johnson as a bull, that is dragging that is literally completely piecing around the whole deal as far as the draft pick, the draft thing. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? Pippen, got to remember Pippen was a Sonic. He probably stays a Sonic.
True.
He probably stays a Sonic. So it's like they drafted him as a Sonic, so he's probably a Sonic. And then remember, you have Scottie Pippen, you have Gary Payton, and you have Xavier McDaniel, and you have Sean Kemp. So you've got some powerhouses there.
Indeed. Whoa. Let's swing it on to Scott for your thoughts on this. What if the Bulls won the coin flip and Johnson went to the Chicago Bulls?
Well, number one, I find it hard to believe that Magic Johnson could play for Jerry Reinsdorf instead of Jerry Buss. So that they're, what's that?
Right, you're right. You're right on that.
Yeah, Jerry, they're totally different animals. Jerry Buss let him do whatever he wanted. There was no Hollywood. I don't know whether or not Magic Johnson could turn Michigan Avenue into Hollywood, and maybe he might be spending more time at Harpo's, Oprah's out on Michigan Avenue. So
plus you get to watch Jerry Krause eat all the time instead of watching Jerry.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's funny. Number two, who knows where Jordan would have ended up playing. So I would find that hard to believe. I'm actually, if all what ifs, and I don't have to think about what ifs, the best thing that ever happened was Magic Johnson going to LA. It really was.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about hypotheticals all day long, and there's a place for them, and this is certainly one of them. But Magic Johnson with the Bulls, I think the Pistons wouldn't be too thrilled about it because they'd have to deal with him a lot more. I think it was easier for the Pistons, believe it or not, to deal with Michael Jordan because we had more antagonizers like the Rick Mahorns and Bill Lambiers getting in Jordan's skin and pushing him around, and Joe Dumars trying to figure him out defensively. Magic Johnson's a harder guy to figure out defensively because he's 6'9" or so, the way he plays a point guard. So I don't think you can get under Magic Johnson's skin as much as you probably could have gotten under Jordan's skin if you think about it. Sure. So and then the Pistons Bulls rivalry would certainly look a lot different. So everybody knows about the Showtime stuff. It was just truly magnificent, really, to watch.
Oh yeah.
I think Scottie Pippen to me has always been overrated in terms of where you put him in history.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing too. You bring that up. The coaches. Magic Johnson got Jack McKinney, who created Showtime. He got Paul Westhead, who was phenomenal at Loyola Marymount and a great offensive mind, and then you get Pat Riley. And that is his whole career. It's like he would be dealing with Stan Albeck. He would be dealing with Kevin Lockery. He would be dealing with so many Doug
Collins. Don't forget him either.
Collins.
Yeah. He'd be.
But later on, he gets Phil.
Yeah. Later on, he gets Phil. But I'm just saying, how long could he last as long for Phil, knowing these names? Knowing these names, because you got to remember on Legacy, the LA Lakers thing, he talked about trying to get out of LA sometimes when he was ridiculed. So could he have handled Kevin Lockery? Could he have handled Stan Albeck? I mean, very boring coaches.
Well, let me tell you this. Remember, though, Jacob, he ran Paul Westhead out of town to get Riley. And when Johnson was angry, and he told Bus, get Westhead the heck out of here. And you know what? Whatever Johnson wanted, Jerry Buss delivered it. And you talk about the close relationship that he has with Jeannie Buss. Well, come on, they're like brother and sisters in their own way. And don't think to this day that Magic Johnson isn't providing Jeannie with a little information behind the scenes that nobody really knows about, even though it's not publicized. So, but you're right. I mean, Kevin Lockery,
behind the scenes, all right.
Well, hold on. Kevin Lockery was a really, really good coach. Stan Albeck, those are really good coaches. But were they Magic Johnson type of coaches is another story.
They're fine coaches. They're
we
fine.
have to go.
They're fine, but they're the number 8-7 and number 8C type coaches.
They're fine. I didn't say they're elite, Jacob. Come on, really get with me, bro. It's just I understand. I mean, when you look at, I used to learn a lot watching Kevin Lockery, and years ago, believe it or not, I would learn a lot from Hubie Brown. I met Hubie Brown a couple of times over the years in my trails, and used to pick his brain a little about basketball knowledge and some of those guys covering these games. But I guess really what it comes down to is this: could Magic Johnson have played for Jerry Reinsdorf or Jerry Buss? And I think history will say, thank God he ended up in LA, because it certainly would have been a much different narrative there. And then when you think about the influence that he had with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, if you really want to throw a hypothetical, why don't you ask yourself whether Michael Jordan could have played with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar versus Magic Johnson playing with him? Then we got another topic for a future show. I mean, think about it. Michael Jordan, I think, would have struggled with Kareem.
Absolutely, he would have struggled.
Yeah, because he had the ball.
Absolutely, he would have struggled. Yes.
Sure, I mean,
two ball dominant players.
What's that, Dan?
Two ball dominant players, two number one scoring options. They would have clashed.
But Denzel, it's not so much just the balls; it's just the leadership style and the way that Magic had that old wide smile that goes from South Florida all the way to Alaska. Kareem, it's okay. You can have fun. Don't you think that Michael Jordan had a fun bone in his body? I mean, you see what he did with that drama that he had here with that TV documentary? Magic Johnson wouldn't have done nothing like that. I mean, Magic Johnson taught Kareem Abdul-Jabbar how to have fun with basketball. Is what he did.
We have to go to the next topic, Jacob.
Yeah, hold on a second, Will. Keep on going.
Yeah, so Magic Johnson taught Kareem how to be basketball. When Magic Johnson won his first game, lifted Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Hey, Magic, guess what? We got 81 more games to go. He's afraid he won't make it through number 2. 82 with a hug that looked bigger than Jack and the Beanstalk. Come on, really? So he taught Kareem how to have fun. Do you think that Michael Jordan would have taught Kareem how to have fun? Close your eyes. What do you see? No way. So I'm glad that this what if never happened. Magic would have won anywhere. He really would have. He would have won to Chicago. Michael Jordan, I don't know what would have happened, because that was the right situation for him altogether. And, we know what he did in LA. So.
Well, real quickly, we'll go on to the next topic. The one thing about it is I always brought up on Confidential that I always believe that Dusty Baker is the reason, the start of the Cubs getting bigger names, and we talked about being bigger names.
Right.
Dusty, the start. Magic Johnson would have been the start of getting bigger names in Chicago and getting crowds there.
True, but remember one thing, though, Jacob, before we go on to the next topic, okay? Wouldn't you rather play in L.A. than Chicago, where the weather's a whole lot warmer? Of course. And wouldn't you know that the beaches are a whole lot better in L.A. than they are in Chicago? I mean, I love Michigan Avenue. I love all the water on the river, and I've been to Chicago. It's one of my favorite cities around the country. It really is. I love Chicago. And I used to work there a lot when I covered the Lions and did a lot of projects. Only like a 4-hour drive from Detroit to Chicago by a 984. But come on, let's, I know it's harder to acquire talent to go to the colder weather climates than it is to the warm weather. So
yeah.
Another story too. A lot of people turn you on. I don't want to play in that. And meanwhile, they go all these beautiful weather states, and how does it turn out? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are at the midway point. So just briefly, to anyone who is watching, we are sponsored by the Score No Score app. You can find it on Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. It's a fun app. As of right now, they have football and baseball on there, but you get a set amount of coins. I think it's like 400. If you need any more, of course, you have to pay out of pocket. But what you can do is you bet on plays. So you can bet on if, say, I don't know, if the Guardians are going to score a home run and tie the Yankees. You can bet on if Mahomes is going to throw a game-winning interception, which is just going to happen. Hey, you would have won. But there's a lot more on. It's really fun. You bet on plays, play by play, and it's really great. But it's the Score No Score app. It's on Google Play Store and Apple App Store. And now it's time for our third topic, excuse me. But it's going to be the first of two BasketBros Moment in Times. So we're going to go take a look back at the 1970 NBA Finals Game 7. Willis Reed hobbled onto the court and wills the Knicks to an NBA title victory. So out of his whole career, this was his most signature day, his most signature performance. He actually had a severe thigh injury, a torn muscle that kept him out of Game 6. But he surprised everybody by coming onto the court. Let's see. He had the first 2 field goals of the game. On his first 2 shot attempts, which ironically was his only points of the game. But afterwards, Howard Cosell told him in the locker room that you exemplify the very best that the human spirit can offer. When I think about this game, I think about the following games that occurred of its nature. Let's see. Jordan's flu game, even though it wasn't a flu, it was a hypothetical tainted pizza. But then also you have the infamous NBA Finals, the Paul Pierce game when he was taken out and then he made his way back on and made a 3-pointer or 2. But it's just like we talked about in a previous episode of BasketBros about having that dog in you. And Willis Reed exemplified that. He had that dog in him. He wasn't going to let an injury keep him out. No one would have thought any less of him if had he, taken care of himself. But he was like, no, this is my shot at the championship, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to go out there and play. He left everything out there. They ended up winning. So let's bring it over to Will. Your thoughts on this BasketBros moment in time when Willis Reed, an injured Willis Reed, helped the Knicks to an NBA title.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely a heroic moment. Like, coming off a devastating thigh injury when you have to play basketball and move around and stuff, yeah, no fun. He actually had 4 points and 4 rebounds. He sat out Game 6 to heal up, but we've all seen the film where it's like black and white, where he's just like running out and the crowd goes crazy. He also, besides winning the championship that year, he won the All-Star and regular season MVP, and in the finals, he, with that torn thigh muscle, had 27 minutes. So that is definitely crazy, and always one of the moments in NBA history that I look back and say, this is one of the best NBA finals / NBA best performances of all time. Sure, he didn't score a lot or rebound a lot. It's because he was injured. But still, he willed his team to a championship.
And sometimes, being there, like just your physical presence, that's enough inspiration as is. Like, hey, this man made it onto the court and really, really, really didn't have to be here, but he's here. So we need to play for the city. We need to play for the championship and play for him. But let's swing it on over to Jacob. Your thoughts on this BasketBros moment in time. Your thoughts on Willis Reed in Game 7 of the 1970 NBA Finals.
Just think about how he got those 4 points. It's like this is at a time that we got to remember. Everybody now can shoot anything, anywhere, right. Anything. But 4 can shoot 40 feet. Doesn't matter. Guys at that height, at that position, did not shoot 16 feet. Did not shoot nice soft touches. They were all underneath. Those were two soft left-handed 16-footers, 16, 17-footers. And he hit those. But
over Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah. And then here's the thing. That helped give Phil Jackson one of his 13 rings because he had 2 as a player with the Knicks. So, but one of the things you look at with Willis Reed by itself is the fact that he started the whole dog. The whole part. He started that whole, because we have a pile. I mean, you want to talk about dog? We'll bring in another thing. Kobe with hitting the 2 free throws, tearing his the Achilles up.
Achilles, yeah.
Walking onto the court doing that. I've got my bird moment, the smacking the floor of his face and coming back. I've got that moment. I got that moment for that thing, and then a couple others. But the thing about Willis by itself is, do they win without him? It's like, because it was such a blowout, you got to wonder if it was such a beautiful story, but there was such a blowout. They played a perfect game. and he only got them right in the beginning of the game. So you have to wonder they could probably win anyway.
Absolutely. And granted, you bring up the Achilles, the Kobe Bryant Achilles heel and everything. It's just something about, and I guess we've always thought this in sports, and because it's moments like this, but it causes so much controversy because, like, if something worse happens, then they kind of put it on the team. Think back to when Jordan had that broken foot and he wanted to play so bad, and then it got so bad to where the owner basically told the coach, like, if Jordan plays like 1 minute over like X amount of minutes, you're done, you're gone. Because he was trying to protect his players. Jordan really wanted to go out there. You always, it's kind of like when a couple weeks ago we were talking on the Sports Arena about the whole Tua Tagovailoa thing. As an athlete, you're gonna have that Warriors mentality. Like, I can walk, I'm good, I want to get out there. You know what I mean? And so this is what happens, and it's always a roll of the dice, because if worse would have happened to Willis Reed, well, now it's on the team for not protecting him. But Willis Reed comes in there and scores, and his injury doesn't get any worse, and he's a hero. But I don't know. Let's swing over to Scott. Your thoughts about this topic?
Well, you know what? I love making cross references to other sport. I'm going to stay on track here anyhow. You remember when Kirk Gibson entered the World Series game one of Oakland A's? One at bat. Where did he hit it? Oh, I need a chance. Can I give you a little tiny baseball play-by-play for the sake of this segment? Okay.
Sure.
I'll give you two good ones. Okay. Where did he hit it? Deep. That's number one. And number two, okay, I'm not as good as Vin Scully. I'm not as good as Jack Buck. But here's a long drive deep to right field.
He's going to get a home run.
It's gone. Or whatever, something like that. I always say, it's got the distance. It is gone. That's my home run chat, okay? But getting back on track, okay? When I talk about Kirk Gibson, one at bat, made it count. How did it work out? Dodgers won the World Series, okay?
Yep.
What about Isaiah Thomas and that badly sprained ankle the year that they ended up? Well, you talk about one of the more epic performances, a guy that's got more heart than you can imagine. That's incredible. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is I don't care what sport it is, whether it's basketball, baseball, hockey, or whatever. Emotion can carry you in a short span easily. And it isn't what he did on the court. It's proved that he could play hurt, and he rubbed off on his teammates. So 4 points may have felt like 40 in the minds of all his teammates, okay? And that's what it is. And again, we're talking New York, Big Apple. Okay, no, I'm not giving you a Frank Sinatra song because I'm not going to go ahead and destroy 4 different microphones here on this broadcast. I will not do that, okay?
Just 3.
But 3. Well, that's right, because you're out in the car somewhere on I-20, so it doesn't matter.
No, I'm back home now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I could hardly tell. I guess my eyes are really going bad tonight. But at any rate, but the reality is when you have when you have the New York ending / Hollywood ending, because I've alluded to that a little bit tonight, the Knicks were worthy. They were a heck of a team back in the 70s, won a couple titles. We know Red Holtzman, I believe, was the coach back then. And we know that they had some excellent players on that team. So they had a New York Big Apple ending, and we saw with Magic Johnson. And yet you talk about Magic Johnson having to take the place of Kareem at an important time when Kareem could not even go. So, and I know, where does all that relate? When you're in a big moment, it isn't what you've done on the outside physical ability. It's what's in your heart and your head that carries you to championship levels. Remember that. What's in your heart, and then that can be that domino effect that rubs off on all of your teammates is really what it is. And you saw that moment with, obviously, Willis Reed hobbled back on. How many people have liked those movies, The Natural, and all those baseball movies where you got one shot, man, all for the marbles, hit that Hollywood home run, bestseller at the box office. Well, you know what? It was a bestseller on Broadway. And guess what? It happened.
Just think, Scott, we have a dog on our own team. Like on this little thing right here, like there's Dom. He comes in all the time completely sloshed, and he really just makes it every single time.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely MVP. He's definitely MVP. But you know what? I'm glad you actually brought up the baseball reference, Scott, because it's almost like performances like these almost always lead to championships. I brought up Paul Pierce. You know, they won the title that year. And I see your baseball reference, and I'll raise you one more. Will, I apologize for saying this. American League Championship Series, Game 6, 2004. Kurt Schilling's bloody sock game.
Yeah,
And,
no, that was a good one.
as far as gutsy performances in sports, it's probably in my top
amazing.
3. That probably was in my top 3.
Yeah, well,
I agree.
I don't know. I kind of wonder about that bloody sock. I'm wondering, did he have all that blood really, or is that a bunch of ketchup right down the sock? Kidding.
No, but no. Either way, though, it was a very small little thing of blood, but his ankle still was hurt.
No, I believe that. I'm just kidding with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm really kidding. This is one of those moments where I can kid around a little bit. Yeah, okay, so. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's not like we always have to be totally serious, but I don't think anything will ever top what Kirk Gibson did in 1988 when he willed his way to that one at bat. Yes, there was a pun intended, Vogel. Okay, willed his way to that incredible historical home run when he could barely walk out of there, and I still watch it to this day, and I get humbled by the calls of Vince Scully and Jack Buck. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean, I'll go back to what I said. I don't care what the sport is. Anytime you have any injury and yet you can rub off on your teammates emotionally, and that could, not only with your teammates, what about your manager and everybody around you? I mean, you realize the adrenaline rush, what it's like to be able to play around somebody and say, hey, if he can do it, whatever injury I have is nothing compared to what this individual's going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on to our next topic. We're within the last about 10 minutes here before we wrap up. But this is part 2 of our BasketBros Moment in Time. And this is a look back at Charles Barkley's 1993 MVP season. Now, here's who he was up against at the time period. So he went up against, for the award in the same season, David Robinson, Dominique Wilkins, yes, that Dominique Wilkins, Patrick Ewing, Michael Jordan, who finished third. Number 2 was Hakeem Olajuwon, and then there's Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley, he averaged 25.6 points per game, 12.2 rebounds per game, 5.1 assists, 1.6 steals, and 1.0 blocks per game. He beat out 5 other elite future Hall of Famers for the award. He was an undersized power forward at 6'6". I think he played even a little bit of the 3 also. The top record in the league, 62-20. Absolutely, they don't get there without Charles Barkley. This dude had an amazing season. He undoubtedly is in the top 5 greatest never to have won it all. Unfortunately, I think that season was their best shot, considering how the West and the East turned out to be after the fact. I think that season really was their best shot, but still an amazing season nonetheless. Taking a look at a few notes here, he actually ranked first among power forwards and centers at 5.5 assists per game. He was 52% field goal percentage, and there's another one. He finished 5th in scoring and 6th in rebounds. So, he definitely was a man among boys out there. But, Will, going to swing it over to you. Your thoughts on Charles Barkley, the 1993 NBA Most Valuable Player.
Yeah, you talk about a player who played bigger than his size. He was an smaller power forward, and he played bigger than his size. You named all the guys who he was fighting against for the awards, and those guys were no slouches as well. And Phoenix had the best record that year, and that would have been the year, definitely, for Barkley to get a ring. And it's a shame because if he were to win a ring that year, that would be down as one of the best years in for an MVP ever. Not saying the best, but still, nonetheless, great MVP year for him. And what more can you say? God played bigger than he was.
Yep. Jacob, your thoughts on this?
I'm gonna say this part. He should have won it, and it's like I'm gonna give it a John McEnroe. I'm gonna give a reference to him. John McEnroe, he was like literally he won first 2 sets in the French Open '84. Then he's like up 3-1, and in the third set about to win it, and then he blew it and he lost in 5. Brother comes around, said, "You got him next year." He says, "No, that was my shot." That was my shot.
Oh.
That was my shot, and he knew it. And that was his. And then the U.S. Open ended up being his very final Grand Slam, but in '84. But the thing is that was probably Barkley. That was his shot. That was the best team of the year. Jordan willed that one. You got to realize they did not. The thing if the Suns win just one home game, they get it all. They've got it. Because it's like they took that's the whole thing by itself. It's like who knows from the thing, but they probably take it all with one. Does a home win?
They probably do, and also not to mention, if John Paxson misses that shot for the first time in his career, and probably the only time, Jordan goes to a Game 7.
Yeah. Those are it's those type of deals like that. But bringing that up, the athletes know it. The athletes know that was their one shot, and it's like you're going to have that chance of a lifetime. You take it because you got to realize he was in Philadelphia right after the '83, right after the '83 championship. Basically, 18 months after, he's in Philadelphia for that. He doesn't get there. He loses Billy Cunningham after that time. He loses after that time. He gets some really bad Philadelphia teams. Goes to Phoenix. That's his shot. He had some pretty bad luck. He had some pretty bad luck in his career with some bad things, things not happening. And this is his chance of a lifetime to go get that finals. He knew he wasn't getting another shot.
And he also had probably the best coach he ever had, because I always thought Wes Paul was an underrated coach.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And so just those things, it's like and just remember, I mean, when Jordan's finished his third, that says something. That says something about the team. That says something about how good this thing was. And really, Robinson, I am shocked he beat Robinson, because Robinson was a beast that year.
He was.
He was a beast that year. But either way, that is the way that this goes, and the way the story goes is that was his one shot only, considering how his career trajectory went.
True. And you and swinging it over to Scott here, I'm going to lead it off with a question. Do you think that and before you go on his 1993 MVP season, do you think that when he was drafted by Philadelphia, considering the city and its fans and everything, and him as a person, like how brash he is and straightforward, it was an undoubted match made in heaven. Like he belonged in Philly.
Right. Well, let me tell you, you guys are going to be envious of. I had an opportunity to meet Charles Barkley in June, and we talked some basketball a little bit. And if you look on my Facebook page, I put it up there, and it was really neat. And we talked basketball for a few minutes. Remember, I grew up in that era too. I was graduated. I went to the University of South Florida. I think the Bulls the Pistons played the 76ers at the USF Sun Dome. And I looked at Barkley's plays and, man, Philly got a good player here. They really did. And he's a hard-nosed guy. Auburn really wasn't known for producing basketball players. They will be once Bruce Pearl gets finished with them. But I think when I look at Charles Barkley, and, after my conversation with him in June, and the person, Jacob, you're right. It was his shot, but you got to remember the quality of competition he was playing against during that era that made it a one shot, go for everything at one time. I mean, you're talking about some unbelievable, iconic players that played in that era. Any other era, this guy has multiple rings. But if there's any vindication that can be served for him, at least he had a chance to play with those guys with the dream team in '94 under Chuck Daly. So, so you think about it. Well, you didn't get the NBA championship, Chuck, even though everybody loved you. And, I love his outspoken nature because he's not taking shots at everybody. But you know what I told him when I met him and talked for him a couple of minutes? I said, Charles, I want to thank you for something. He said, well, what's that? For saying what everybody would like to say about today's modern NBA because it's awful. And he smiled at me, shook my hand, and it was just a big, cordial smile that you wouldn't believe, because there's a respect with two guys that understood the hard-nosed ferocity that era played. And you want to talk about mutual respect. I mean, you know, I don't want to brag, but I will a little. I saw the NBA and during an era like what we have with this show, which makes me feel comfortable being on it with you guys every week. That this is when the NBA was unbelievable to watch because we didn't play patty cake bakers, man. We talked about real basketball where you had physicality versus mentality, and that's why you had the chess game, you know, the way that these guys do versus what it's like to go ahead and take checkers and chess and combine them and want to make it a powerful thing. So, yeah, do I wish he would have had the opportunity to win it at least one? You bet. Okay, but by no means did it ever taint his ability, one, to get in the Hall of Fame, two, the dream team, and his legacy in the sport, which is rightfully deserved. I mean, think of what he's done on TNT. I mean, here's a guy that knows, you know, Ernie Johnson. I met him over that in January too, and I spent time with Ernie, and he says to me, you know, and as well as a lot of us that were attending his seminar, hey, you know what? These guys are easy to go out there. I'll do the production meetings all by myself and tell them to stay in the other room, do whatever the heck they want. And once they get on the air, the light turns on. Oh, these guys know what to do. They don't even care,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, but that's just Charles Barkley. He's a free-spirited guy, outspoken, but he's intelligent. And if the only thing missing from this man's mantle is a championship ring, so be it. He's not one of those kinds of guys that's going to complain about it. Yeah, as much as he wish he would have had it, as like a Jacob alluded to. Yeah, that without a doubt. You know, it's his only one shot. You're right, Jacob. No debate whatsoever with your partner. But the reality of the situation is Charles Barkley feels pretty good about what he accomplished, and he'll never feel sorry for himself at all, you know, because of the type of competition that he played with. Let me
He's
think
in the
about
Hall.
players, you know, that you played against. I mean, if you can't win a championship because you're playing against, to me, the Rolls Royce of the NBA, then, you know, there are worse things that can happen. Karl Malone had to chase his championship going to the Lakers and still came up short with the
And still lost, exactly. You know, and you know, it's crazy you mentioned that because you know, whenever you say that, I think of in another sport, Drew Brees. You know, a lot of people ask how come he never won a most valuable player. It was pretty hard to when you're in the same era as Manning and Brady. You know, so.
But can I ask you a question? Does the most valuable player really define your career for the most part? In a lot of cases,
No.
Exactly. That's my point.
But
you didn't win
also,
a valuable player, but you did win a world championship. How many guys would trade an MVP for a world championship?
Oh, tons.
Right. Yep. That's my point.
Tons. You know, but the crazy part is, and I know we can go all night on this one. Today's media and today's generation seems to be fixated on if you do not win a most valuable player, you can't be considered one of the greatest. Most valuable player, you was great for that one season or for several seasons if you win several. But over the course of a career, I mean, come on now. Like, Brees is a surefire Hall of Famer. He's never won a most valuable player. You got tons of basketball players out there that were great, you know, and they never won a most valuable player. Also, how many people won most valuable player and ain't in the Hall of Fame in any sport?
Well, you just said the key words, though, Denzel. Today's media. And I'm in the business, okay? Denzel, Jacob, Will, okay? And I have some respect for today's media, but I don't have all respect for them because they don't see the big picture. That's my problem with it. If you don't see the big picture and you combine 1 + 1 = 2, and I'm not very good at math, okay, but one championship and one MVP is a beautiful combination, may get you there automatically. Doesn't make a lick of difference. It really doesn't. Today's media versus the old school media, it's a different animal anyway. It's about how they think differently. You'll see that down the years with Baseball Hall of Fame voters when guys get in that probably don't belong in there, but that's for another day on another show. But I'm just trying to point out between today's media versus yesteryear media. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. Oh, good. Hey, well, we are actually at the last 2 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. I'd like to thank everybody for watching BasketBros and to those that what's up, Tony? What's going on, man? Thanks for tuning in. Also, shout out to our guy. Let me bring him up here. Michael Jones, he's your coworker, Will. Yep. Thanks for tuning in and leaving your comments and such. Speaking of Will, real quick, where can everybody find you?
Because you can find me here on Sunday nights with these guys. Tuesday night, I'm on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel with Scott, Jordan, and Charlotte Batts. We talk about baseball, so go subscribe to the South Florida Tribune. They are great friends of ours at Sideline Sports. They love to plug us. We love to plug them. We're all family there. Anyway, Monday nights, I forgot to say, is NBA Carousel during the season. Thursday nights, I'm on the Sip Off. And occasionally, I'll probably get back onto the Gauntlet on Fridays. So that's it for me.
All right, Jacob, on you, man.
Yes, Sunday nights here. Monday nights during the season, NBA Carousel. Megan Price's NBA Carousel. And working on another show, let you know really, really soon. Tuesdays during the season, Confidential. We're no longer at 11 o'clock. Wednesday nights, the pundit. I mean, with Scott, with I and Scott Morganroth and Jen and everything in between. Even had Jordan the other night, and a doubleheader with Sports Exchange for Scott's show. Thursday night, separated from Sideline Sports for the thing, DJ Sanson. And we talk like psychology, films. We talk about everything. So good to build now on those type of things also. And plus, we're working on it together. So it's going very well.
All right, and Scott, lastly, with you.
All right. Well, you know what? I enjoy being here on BasketBros on Sunday night as well as Pundit. These are just two phenomenal shows. Really special shout out to JB Ellis. If it weren't for JB Ellis, I wouldn't have met all of you great people. I mean, I realize everybody else has been great. John Shearer, Eric Wilson, Jennifer, and the rest goes on. And Will and Jacob, to me, you guys are just awesome. I don't have any more to say about you.
Appreciate that.
You're awesome.
Appreciate it.
But, Will obviously appears with the 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, as well as he'll do some fire-up shows when my schedule loosens up. Right now, I'll be heavy into NASCAR over the next 7 to 10 days. 50-50 chance I'll be here next week because I'll be down in Homestead covering the race down there. We'll see what happens there. And, of course, I love the partnership that we have with the Sports Exchange and Pundits. So, but my contact information real quick is please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Help us build this. And then on top of that, follow me on Twitter at Tribune South. So,
Hey Scott, I got one question for you, real quick, NASCAR wise.
Yeah.
Just real quickly. What if would Richard Petty had the same amount of titles if Fireball Roberts doesn't die?
I'd still say yeah, and I had opportunity to interview Richard Petty years ago when I was at Michigan International Speedway. Richard Petty was just unbelievable.
Oh, he was. I was just asking because I know about Fireball Roberts, 64, passed away, and I didn't know. And Fireball was taking most of those titles, so I didn't know.
I would say, to answer your question, Jacob, I would say yes. I interviewed the King, and he's just unbelievable. I mean, what I learned from him about auto racing, you guys would need 3 hours, okay? When I do a one-on-one interview over at Michigan International Speedway. But the answer to your question is yes. So love the partnership here, Jordan. I mean, what can I say? I don't want to leave out names, but everybody knows at Sideline Sports, the ones I'm involved with. I love all you guys. You guys are you guys aren't teammates. You're just family to me. So family is way above.
Awesome. We're happy to hear it.
Absolutely, 100%. So for Will Vogel, Jacob Christner, and Scott the Motor City Madmouth, I'm Denzel Snipes. Thank you for tuning in to BasketBros. We will see you all in 7 days. Now, go watch the Eagles and the Cowboys. Later, y'all.